my Disney College Program interview. I'm super excited, but I'm also nervous because I don't know what to expect. So we are currently in the 2:15 to 2:45 range of when my interview can be. So I'm extremely nervous about it because I just feel like my responses, like I've practiced a lot, but I feel like my responses sound rehearsed at this point and not genuine. So I'm really hoping everything goes well. Yeah, it's 2:17, and actually now it's 2:18, and my interview time is at 2:30, but you can allow for 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after the interview time is when they can call. So they say you should have like an hour window of when you can be open to answering the call. So I'm sitting at home right now looking over notes. So I'm really hoping this goes well. I'm super nervous about it, but I feel like I've practiced enough, and I just hope they like me. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, sounds great. So the Disney College Program is something I've always wanted to do since I was little. When I was growing up, my mom would tell others that none of her kids knew what they wanted to do as a profession, but they all knew what they wanted to do when they retired, and that was work at Disney World. So I feel like the Disney College Program would be that amazing opportunity for me to just interact with people of various cultures and backgrounds in an environment that is guest oriented, because I do want to go into a profession that deals with just interacting with diverse groups. I want to be an international developer, so I want to go into different countries and just give people access to basic needs. So the Disney College Program would help me gain the experience of working with diverse groups, but it would also showcase my passion for the Walt Disney World Company and all of the parks in general, because all of my most fondest memories of my family and my vacations have been at Disney World. I've been to Disney World 10 times, so I just want to make magic for other people like the cast members have done for me. Yes, ma'am. No, I am not. Yes, ma'am, I am. Yes, I am receptive. No, I do not have any tattoos. Correct. So I do have the traditional earlobes piercings in the bottom of my ears, but then I also have a cartilage piercing at the top, but I am more than willing to be able to take that out while working and comply with the Disney look. Yes, ma'am, I am. I prefer to do Walt Disney World because I've actually never been to Disneyland, so I feel like I would be a better fit at Disney World. Yes, ma'am, it does. Yes, I do. Yes, so I have a twin sister, so she's kind of been a built-in roommate for me for the past 18 years. But now that I'm in college, I do not share a room with anyone, but I do have like housemates. So I have 3 other housemates. So a couple challenges we've had are the temperature in the living space. So I am somewhat of a cold natured type person, and so my another roommate we have likes to keep the temperature very, very freezing, and I like to be bundled up. So we've had the issue of just trying to decide on what temperature range to keep, and then another issue was recycling. So I'm a big advocate for being eco-friendly, and another roommate of mine was not so much. So through openness and communication, we really had to agree on, a temperature range for the thermostat, and we put in a separate bin for recycling to separate waste. So we were both able to, we were all able to come together and just solve those issues based on just talking, really. Yeah, so I have a past experience with the Language Resource Center. I was considered an ambassador. So, in that role, I really just assisted people who came into the center with any questions they had, if they needed to know where things were located within the building. I also was supposed to keep an organized workspace, so I organized the classroom that we had, and I just kept all the supplies, up and just everything tidy. And so through that, I was interacting with others on a daily basis. But another role or job experience that I have that would help me with the DCP would be that I was an eco representative. So I'm a super passionate person, like I mentioned earlier, about the planet. And so we would promote sustainability and events like that associated with it. And so we were really big on peer-to-peer education. So, that just interacting with guests on a one-on-one level, and I was constantly on my feet. And then I also have volunteer experience with the public library, a local museum, and I've been on mission trips. So in all of those roles, I was, helping others and working with families and children, and just keeping an organized space. But at the museum, I did work with handling money, and so I feel like all of those roles would help me in the Disney College program. So one day when I was in the Language Resource Center, a girl came in and she was just very confused on like what the center was about, because so basically what it is we hold placement tests at my university to place people in what level of language they're to take. So she came in and was just confused on where she was supposed to be, because it was actually incoming transfer students, their orientation was that day. So she came up and was just asking a bunch of questions about, like, did she actually have to take the test today? She was like freaking out about it because she was like, I hadn't prepared for this or anything. Like, somebody told me I had to come and, do this immediately. And so we just basically, I had to be like a mediator between her and my boss, because he was sitting in his office and I was trying to like give her advice and everything. And so I basically just told her, like, no ma'am, you do not have to take the test today. There's a schedule online. You can do the test at another time. It's no problem. And so I was really just there to ease her nerves and to calm her down. And then, I also gave her directions on what other buildings and where else she was supposed to go for orientation. And so I just really helped her. So I make safety a top priority when I'm at work by, using handbooks and guidelines and things like that. In one of my jobs, actually in one of my volunteer experiences, I had to use a ladder and hand tools and things like that because it was a construction type job. And so I had to make sure like people were holding the ladder and just like making sure I had assistance and asking for help if I needed it, but also making sure I wasn't putting myself or anyone else I was with in a dangerous position. That is no problem to me. As an eco representative in my past job experiences, I actually am constantly on my feet and moving around, and I'm all over campus walking up and down different buildings and areas, so I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the heat or anything like that in Florida either. Okay. No, ma'am, I have not. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am, I do. So I've done cleaning again as a language resource center ambassador. I've washed windows. I've wiped down. We had to do it weekly, where we wiped down all of the counter spaces at the computers, all of those areas, the keyboards, the tables in the classroom with whiteboards, things like that. So I've done cleaning in that role. I don't think I've done cleaning in any other roles though, but I do have previous experience of it. So I used a cash register when I volunteered at the local museum. People would come in and they would need to purchase a ticket, so we would give them change back for all of that, and we would have to check if they had a military ID or something like that, where they get a discount. So I do not have experience with a DSLR camera, but I've used like the point and shoot ones. So I do have some familiarity with how cameras work. I do not necessarily have experience with cameras, but more so of how PhotoPass works and all of that, because on vacations my family took advantage of Memory Maker and PhotoPass and all of that stuff. So I am familiar with how, from a guest perspective, of how that works. So actually, my dream role would be working in Animal Kingdom at the conservation station. So I do have a lot of experience with talking in front of large groups, even on one-to-one interactions. I'm perfectly okay with greeting others, and I'm just basically flexible and adaptable to any role that I'm in with attractions. Since I'm very passionate about the environment, I would love to work with attractions in an Animal Kingdom setting or something having to do with animals, but I'm perfectly fine with any of the attractions roles. Mm-hmm. So if a child isn't tall enough to ride and they are a girl, I would probably tell them, I would address them as a princess and tell them that even though they're not tall enough for this one, I would show them rides around the park that they could be tall enough for, such as like if it was Magic Kingdom, obviously with Space Mountain, it would be like It's a Small World or Peter Pan or Winnie the Pooh or something like that. If it was a boy, I would tell them that they're not needed in this space capacity, but they could go to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin and have a great time there, and because the galaxy just needs them. So I haven't done any hair and makeup with children, but at the public library where I volunteered, we did crafts with kids. So we had to set up the crafts and then we monitored the kids while they did them and just interacted with them in that way. One day we hosted like this pirate day, and so we had kids coming in and we would help them make like crowns and things like that and jewelry for them. So I do have experience working with children in that sense. So I would probably tell them that even Rapunzel was a little scared of going out of her tower, so that's perfectly fine if she is hesitant about getting a makeover, but that it's a magical experience and she's definitely going to love it in the end. I think my top three roles would be attractions, quick service, and merchandise. I'm kind of leaning away from custodial, but I think any of the roles would be great. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do. Okay, sounds great. So, have you done the Disney College program? So, that sounds great. So, in your experience, did you take classes through your university or did you take any of the Disney classes on site? Mm-hmm. So did you get, I'm assuming the Disney classes you don't get college credit for? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, and then I had one last question. What is your favorite memory you made with another guest while working for Disney? Mm-hmm. Aw. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Colleen. Okay, thank you. You too. Bye bye.